The 1969 Scenes of Canada is the oldest notes I have, and I am proud to present you with the full set. The observe features Canada's coat of arms on the left and an important figure on the right, and the reverse features beautiful sceneries of Canada. Queen Elizabeth II is depicted in the 1, 2, $20 note. The 5 features Sir Wilfrid Laurier, the 7th Prime Minister of Canada. The 10 features Sir John A. Macdonald, the 1st Prime Minister of Canada. The 50 features William Lyon Mackenzie King, the 10th Prime Minister of Canada. And the 100 features Sir Robert Borden, the 8th Prime Minister of Canada. These 4 prime ministers are featured in other series of banknotes, and they are consistent in the denomination they present, which I'll further explain later. But for now, let's look at the beautiful sceneries of Canada. The $1 note, issued in 1973, interestingly, I found 2 different signature patterns. Shows a scene of the Parliament buildings from the Ottawa River, Ontario. The zoom of the 2 tugboats look pretty cool, surrounded by broken log boom with Parliament Hill in the background, and this is what it looks like in real life. The 2 also with 2 different signature patterns shows a scene of 6 men of an Inuit family preparing their kayaks for a hunt. This is an image shot by Doug Wilkinson, a documentary filmmaker. It is an interesting real story, and when you look at it this way and then this way, it shows how beautiful this note is, even in 2024. I only have 1 5, and it shows a scene of a salmon seiner in the Johnston Strait, a channel along the northeast coast of Vancouver Island. I also only have 1 10, and it shows a scene depicting the operations of Polymer Corporation, which produce artificial rubber which are useful in modern life, such as tires and conveyor belts, and modern warfare, such as tanks and airplane parts. And this note is based a place called Sarnia, a city in Ontario. The Polymer Corporation achieved a worldwide reputation as they supplied to overseas when there was a short supply cut due to World War II. I also only have 1 20, and it shows a scene of the Canadian Rocky Mountains, Moraine Lake, located in the Valley of the 10 Peaks in Alberta. And this is what it looks like in real life. I have 2 50s, but with the same signature patterns, and it shows a dome formation from the musical ride of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police to honor the RCMP's centennial in 1973. The musical ride is an equestrian event, and it was also performed during the state funeral of Queen Elizabeth II. The highest denomination, the 100, I have 2 signature patterns, and the harbor at Lunenburg in Nova Scotia, and the Lunenburg is such a beautiful place in real life. It is said that the Scenes of Canada is the 4th series, and they were replaced by the Birds of Canada in 1986. I have 5 banknotes out of 7. What I really appreciate about this is that you can see that the designs are completely different. The coat of arms is now smaller, the portrait is bigger, and in each note it has a vignette. Let's take a closer look of each note. I have a bunch of 2s with all having the same signature patterns. The vignette is the Parliament building, and here is the comparison from the $1 note Scenes of Canada series. The reverse of this terracotta banknote features the American robins. Interestingly, I have 3 5s with 2 different signature patterns. The vignette is the center block, the main building of the Canadian Parliament located in the capital of Ottawa. The belted kingfisher is shown on the reverse. I have 2 10s with the same signature patterns. The vignette is also the Parliament building, back in the 19th century during Sir Macdonald's premiership as the first Prime Minister of Canada. The bird featured on the reverse is an osprey, historically known as sea hawk or river hawk. Unfortunately, I don't have the 20s to show. Moving on to the 50, the vignette is the Parliament building flying the Canadian red ensign. This was the country's flag from 1957 to 1965. The reverse has the snowy owl depicted on the background of an Arctic landscape, and that is the snowy owl in real life. The 100 has the vignette of the center block again, this time with the Peace Tower flying the Union Jack, which was the country's flag from the 1904 to 1945. The reverse shows the beautiful Canada goose. The $1,000 note looks so cool. Maybe one day. So there you go, the beautiful bird series, the 5th series from the Bank of Canada from 1986 to 2001. And they were replaced by the 2001 Canadian Journey. I only have one note to show, the $20 note. The watermark technology is present and you can see the Queen depicted. The reverse shows artwork created by Bill Reed, an artist of maternal Haida heritage. To the far left is an illustration of the Raven and the First Men, a laminated yellow cedar sculpture housed at the Museum of Anthropology at the University of British Columbia. An excerpt from the 1961 book La Montagne Secrète by Gabriel Roy. Could we ever know each other in the slightest without the arts? The 6th series had a shorter lifespan of 10 years compared to 15 years between the Scenes of Canada to the Birds of Canada and then the Canadian Journeys. In 2011, the 7th series was released called the 2011 Frontier Series, and they changed from paper to polymer. It is extremely fascinating that when the Bank of Canada update their banknotes, you can expect a completely new design. The portrait is now towards the center, the coat of arms disappears, and the maple leaf appears, and instead of watermarks, holographic metallic foil shows the various of government buildings. The portrait follows the same patterns. Sir Wilfrid Laurier, the 7th Prime Minister, is on the 5. Sir John A. Macdonald, the 1st Prime Minister, is on the 10. Queen Elizabeth II on the 20. William Lyon Mackenzie King, the 10th Prime Minister, on the 50. And Sir Robert Borden, the 8th Prime Minister of Canada, on the 100. What is really cool about it, the portraits are not the same. We get to see the young and older queen, different timeline of the prime ministers. Looks similar, but they are not the same when you look at it closely. Let's look at the reverse of the Frontier series. On the 5 is Canada's Pride of the Canadarm2 and Dexter, reflecting Canada's contribution to the International Space Station program. The 10, the passenger train, Canadian passing through the Canadian Rockies, symbolizing the country's monumental feat of building a pan-Canadian railway. The 20 shows the Canadian National Vimy Memorial, reflecting the contributions of Canada in conflicts through its military history. You can also see the Canadian flag and the beautiful red poppies. The 50, Canadian Coast Guard ship Amundsen in the Arctic, reflecting Canada's northern frontier and its role in the Arctic research. The Inuit culture is also being represented. It was the hunting culture in the $2 note of the 4th series, this time through their language, the Inuktitut, Ukiktaktuk, meaning Arctic. The 100 is the proudest of all, Canadian innovation in medicine. Insulin was first discovered in 1921. The electrocardiogram track of the beat of a healthy human heart was a 1950 invention, and the DNA strand is adapted from a computer-generated image created by the University of Ottawa. These three inventions are invented thanks to Canadian-based scientists. The Frontier series shows off Canada's brain power in space science, engineering, history and art, sea, and medical science. In just 7 years, Canada released a new banknote design. Its very first vertical design banknote featuring Viola Desmond. Sir John A. Macdonald, the first Prime Minister, may appear in other denominations. It is still uncertain where will Canada go with this, as this was the only note that was released. Though Canada plans to come up with a new design for the $20 note to feature the reigning monarch, King Charles III. According to Wikipedia, it will come out in 2027. Anyway, back to Viola Desmond, a black Nova Scotian businesswoman who challenged racial segregation at a film theater in New Glasgow, Nova Scotia in 1946. I have 3 notes with the same signature patterns. The country's flag and the coat of arms are now in the form of holographic foil. Colorful redention of the street grid of Halifax, Nova Scotia, and a small but golden maple leaf. On the reverse, the Canadian Museum for Human Rights in Winnipeg, Manitoba. A foil eagle feather, a quotation from Section 15 of the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms appears in both English and French. Every individual is equal. I am so sad about the wars that are happening. This is the latest note that the Bank of Canada released. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed watching it as much as I enjoyed making it. Lastly, I have made a slideshow presentation with no caption. I love watching this as it shows the evolution of banknotes, a beautiful timeline of the human creation. See you in the next video.